The introduction to the music of Frieren, soundtracking an adventure, is a crucial entry point into the auditory world that shapes and enriches this narrative. At its core, this concept involves understanding how music can be intricately woven into storytelling, creating an immersive experience that enhances the emotional and atmospheric dimensions of an adventure. Music is not merely an embellishment, but a vital narrative tool that sets the scene, establishes tone, and evokes emotions in ways that visuals alone cannot achieve. The significance of this point lies in its ability to deepen the audience's engagement and connection with the story of Frieren. By setting the scene, the music provides context and background that guide the audience through the unfolding adventure. It can signal shifts in tone, highlight pivotal moments, and underscore character development. For instance, a serene, lyrical melody might introduce a tranquil, mystical forest, while a later, more tumultuous score can accompany a climactic battle, heightening tension and anticipation. A real-world example of music setting the scene can be found in Howard Shore's work on the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Shore's compositions are instrumental in establishing the epic scale and emotional depth of Middle-earth, with themes crafted for different locations and characters that enrich the narrative tapestry. Similarly, in video games like The Legend of Zelda, Koji Kondo's music is key to immersing players in the expansive world, with each piece intricately tailored to suit various landscapes and story arcs. Opinions supporting this idea highlight music's power to transcend language, creating a universal language of emotion that resonates with audiences worldwide. Critics and creators frequently emphasize that a well-crafted soundtrack can elevate a story, making it memorable and impactful. However, challenges can arise in this process. Striking the right balance between music and narrative can be complex, and there is a risk of overwhelming the story with an intrusive score, or conversely, underutilizing music, thus diluting its impact. Some may argue that reliance on music to convey emotion may undermine visual storytelling, suggesting a need for harmonious integration. The introduction to the music of Frieren influences other aspects of the main topic by laying the foundation for how the soundtrack will be employed throughout the adventure. It connects with discussions on character themes, environmental soundscapes, and the evolution of the musical narrative, demonstrating that music is not an afterthought, but a driving force in the storytelling of Frieren. Through this exploration, audiences can appreciate the craftsmanship involved in soundtracking an adventure, inviting them to listen more closely and engage more deeply with the journey. The heading Historical and Cultural Influences on Frieren's Soundtrack explores how historical and cultural elements shape the music accompanying the adventures in Frieren. This concept involves understanding the diverse influences drawn from history and culture that are woven into the soundtrack, enriching the narrative and emotional depth of the story. The music of Frieren is not just an accompaniment, but a narrative tool that reflects the world's lore, traditions, and the characters' journeys. The significance of this point is substantial, as the soundtrack serves as an auditory representation of Frieren's world, drawing listeners into its narrative tapestry. It underscores the atmosphere, enhancing the storytelling by embodying the emotions and settings encountered by the characters. For instance, traditional folk music elements might be woven into the soundtrack to evoke a sense of nostalgia or cultural identity, particularly important in a fantasy setting where world-building is crucial. An example of this can be seen in the use of ancient instruments like the oud, or lyre, which may be employed to evoke a medieval or otherworldly atmosphere, connecting audiences to the historical contexts that inspire the fictional world of Frieren. Similarly, incorporating regional musical scales and rhythms, such as pentatonic scales or specific tribal beats, could be used to reflect the cultural diversity within Frieren's universe. Experts and critics often emphasize the pivotal role of culturally and historically influenced soundtracks in creating immersive experiences. They argue that a well-crafted score can transport audiences to the intended era or fantasy realm, making the adventure feel more tangible and engaging. However, challenges arise in ensuring these influences are authentic and respectful, avoiding the pitfalls of cultural appropriation or reductionist interpretations of rich, complex cultures. Alternative viewpoints exist, suggesting that while historical and cultural influences are vital, over-reliance on them can stifle creativity, leading to scores that are predictable or overly derivative. Some argue for a balance between innovation and tradition, advocating for original compositions that, while inspired by historical and cultural elements, push the boundaries of musical storytelling. The historical and cultural influences on Frieren's soundtrack not only enhance the listening experience, but also tie into other aspects of the main topic by supporting character development, world building, and narrative progression. The choice of music can highlight character backgrounds, underscore pivotal plot points, and enhance the emotional weight of the storyline, ultimately contributing to a richer, more compelling adventure for the audience. In the realm of the music of Frieren, soundtracking and adventure, the heading Key Composers and Musicians Behind the Adventure shines a spotlight on the creative forces responsible for crafting the oral landscape of this enchanting journey. This concept delves into the individuals whose musical prowess and imaginative compositions bring to life the epic tales and emotions of Frieren's adventure. By weaving together themes, motifs, and harmonies, these composers and musicians create a soundtrack that not only accompanies but elevates the narrative, adding depth and resonance to the experience of the story. The significance of identifying key composers and musicians lies in their pivotal role in shaping the auditory experience of the adventure. Music is an integral part of storytelling. It establishes mood, heightens emotions, and adds a layer of meaning to the visuals. In Frieren, the soundtrack becomes a character in its own right, guiding the audience through moments of triumph, sorrow, and wonder. Recognizing the talents behind the music allows us to appreciate the intentionality and artistry involved in crafting a world where sound is as vital as the plot. A prime example of this can be seen in the work of renowned composer Joe Hisaishi, known for his collaborations with Studio Ghibli. His ability to blend orchestral arrangements with traditional instruments creates a magical, immersive sound, much like what one might expect in Frieren. Another example is Jeremy Soule, whose compositions for video games like The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim demonstrate how a powerful score can shape an adventure's identity, turning it into a timeless experience. Opinions supporting this concept often emphasize how music can transform a narrative, making it memorable and emotionally impactful. Critics and audiences alike have expressed that a well-crafted soundtrack can elevate an adventure, adding layers of emotion and narrative complexity that resonate deeply with listeners. However, challenges arise in ensuring that the music aligns seamlessly with the storytelling. Composers may face pressures to conform to certain styles or expectations, potentially stifling creativity. There are also alternative viewpoints that argue music should be understated, allowing the story itself to take the forefront without the influence of an overpowering soundtrack. The interplay between music and story is intricate. The composer's contributions influence the pacing, tone, and emotional arcs within Frieren's adventure. By understanding the significance of these musical architects, audiences gain insight into how the auditory elements are not mere accompaniments, but integral components that shape and define the very essence of the adventure. Musical themes and motifs in the music of Frieren, soundtracking and adventure, refer to the recurring musical ideas or phrases that represent characters, locations, emotions, or narratives within Frieren's journey. These motifs are essential as they provide oral continuity and emotional depth to the storyline, helping the audience connect more profoundly with the adventure. They serve as musical signatures that trigger recognition, convey thematic elements, and enhance storytelling. For instance, a distinctive melody might be associated with Frieren herself, capturing her essence and evolving subtly to reflect her growth throughout the adventure. Similarly, motifs might underscore the transition of landscapes or hint at underlying emotions within pivotal scenes, creating an immersive experience. The significance of musical themes and motifs in Frieren's soundtrack cannot be overstated. They act as a bridge between the visual elements and the audience's emotional response, enriching the narrative structure and ensuring that the music does not merely accompany, but elevates the story. By expertly crafting these motifs, composers can evoke specific atmospheres and guide the audience's interpretation of the unfolding adventure, ensuring that each theme adds a layer of meaning to Frieren's journey. A real-world application of this concept can be seen in Howard Shore's music for the Lord of the Rings trilogy, where motifs are intricately woven to represent different characters and cultures, enhancing the narrative complexity. Similarly, John Williams' use of leitmotifs in Star Wars creates an auditory fingerprint for characters like Darth Vader, whose theme instantly evokes a sense of foreboding. These examples illustrate how powerful thematic composition can become integral to storytelling, just as in the music of Frieren. Opinions supporting the importance of musical themes often emphasize their ability to engage audiences on a subconscious level, creating a multisensory experience that resonates deeply. However, challenges arise in ensuring that these motifs remain engaging without becoming repetitive or intrusive. Critics might argue that overly simplistic or predictable motifs could detract from the narrative's sophistication. There is also the debate about the level of musical complexity required to maintain the balance between memorability and thematic richness. Musical themes and motifs in Frieren are intricately linked to the broader world of storytelling and soundtracking. They influence other aspects such as scene pacing, character development, and emotional tone, ensuring that music is not merely background, but a vital narrative force. In this way, they underscore the adventure, making Frieren's journey not just seen, but truly felt by the audience.